The Change Guru podcast is brought to you by my books, Be Your Own Change Guru and How to Find Your Purpose After 40. They're available on Amazon, and if you like the show, buying a book is an awesome way to show your support for what I'm doing. And now, here's the podcast.
The Change Guru. Listen up. You are the guru of your own midlife change. Gotta take it and own it, don't be restricted by age. What's the number anyway? Live your dreams, don't hesitate. You're the change guru, you're the change guru. This is the time to step up, make your dreams come true. Whatever the change, it all starts with you. Whether it's life's purpose, relationships or career. Whatever the change, it's time to get what you want, what you really, really want. Make a change in midlife and still look really hot. Listen here, don't have fear. You're the master of your fate, you're the woman of the year. I mean it, change your life forever. I mean it, it's not too late, no never. I said I mean it, change your life forever. I mean it, it's not too late, no never, ever, yeah. The Change Guru, all starts with you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to TCG 2.0. That's the Change Guru 2.0. Episode number 40. We are finally the big 4-0 on the podcast. If you've been listening since the very beginning when I was just doing Change Guru 1.0 over on Blog Talk Radio, if you've been listening since then, thank you so much for being on this journey with me. If you're a new-time listener, welcome. My throat's a little dry. I've been flying a lot. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. That's better. I just got off a plane a couple hours ago from Chicago. I'm in the States, obviously, and I'm doing a real tour of duty, visiting all my family. I first started out in LA, then to see my sister, then went to Chicago to see my daughter Presley, then now back to see another sister, and then in a couple days over to see my parents. So it's kind of a quick trip. It's really, really full on, but it's really great too because I'm having just incredible just intense FaceTime with my family. I came over from Australia with my son Henry, my oldest son Henry. We've traveled together a few times in our life. We met each other in India a while back. A year or two ago, I visited him in Lisbon where he was living, and we traveled around Portugal, and now here we are doing our U.S. things. So and that's kind of going to be the topic of today's podcast, about how to make long-distance relationships work. But before I get to that, let me do a little bit of business. I did a weird thing on my YouTube channel this week, if you're listening in real time, and I wear a bikini in my kitchen just to prove a point that it is fine to wear a bikini no matter what age you are, no matter what kind of shape you're in. And I give a few tips on how to rock a wild bikini regardless of age or shape, and it has nothing to do with doing massive leg lifts or starving yourself on the latest fad diet. It's all about how you feel about yourself on the inside. Don't believe me? Are you raising an eyebrow as I explain this? Please watch the video over at YouTube at Susan Paget TV and just look for bikini. You'll find the video. But I hope it changes your mind, and I hope if you've put off wearing a bathing suit because you don't feel perfect enough, or you've been told that you have to be a certain age or shape to show some flesh, I hope that it will change your mind, because it feels really good to expose your body to air and to feel good in your body. And I don't know about you, but I want to go through life respecting myself and feeling good with myself rather than beating myself up. That's a line of being that I choose not to indulge in. I have to tell you, I'm sitting here in my sister's backyard, and I'm right next to a lavender bush that is loaded with bees. Loaded with bees. Am I stupid to be sitting here watching it? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to be that interested in me, but it's kind of cool watching them and watching nature happen. If I make a hasty retreat, you'll follow me on that journey. But right now, what I want to talk to you, just while I'm in this traveling state of mind, is the concept of long distances and dealing with them, especially when it comes to, there's so many different things that can happen to us when it comes to long distance with people we love. Maybe you're in a relationship with a partner who is somewhere far away, or maybe I know for times I've had that both circumstances with my husband, Dale. He's Australian and I'm American. So when we first met, we had a very long distance relationship for a while when we were both trying to finalize our single lives so that we could get together. And that was really hard in those days. There was no Skype. There was no email. Phone calls were really super expensive. Somehow we made it work. And I think it's because of a few of the things that I'm going to talk to you about today. Then on the other hand, after we got married and I moved to Australia, I had to spend a lot of time, well, I'm going to move because they're like bumblebees and things. I had to spend a lot of time being away from my family, and I spent I probably yearly coming back to the States to connect with my American family. And when there's been times when we've lived in America where Dale's had to do the same thing, staying connected to his family in Australia. And it is challenging, but the interesting thing is we've also managed to make that work. I feel just even on this trip where I've seen my sisters and my niece and nephews, I can tell you that we all feel as connected to each other as if we were next door neighbors. And I'll kind of share, how that works. And then it comes down to also, if you're a parent and your kids are older, like my kids are older, you might be also experiencing the times when they go away, either to go away to school or they go away to live. And for my family, I think it's especially because we're a traveling family. We always have been. We're all dual citizens. My adult kids have always lived overseas. As soon as they could travel, they were traveling. And here we are again, this time with my youngest daughter. My little baby is living in Chicago. And so I understand that side of, missing your own kid and what that feels like. And I'm going to share these tips, these kind of ways of dealing with this kind of separation that can apply to these three ways of being. And, I think a lot of us also might be missing, maybe we're missing people that aren't around anymore, or missing a family pet that's not around anymore, or a best friend who's not around anymore. And I think that all of these tips that I'm going to give you right now can kind of give you some new perspective on that concept of the long distance relationship. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of weave through my personal stories with the concept of, having a long distance relationship with a partner, and having a long distance relationship with family, and also long distance relationship with your kids. And the first thing that I think is really, really important to understand is that they're really best practices when it comes to communication in these with different people. Different people can survive. The relationships work a lot better when there's kind of an agreement of how to communicate. For example, when my husband and I first met in America, and we had to separate because he had to go back to Australia, and he had to quit his job, and I had to quit school and figure out how to get money to come back together. For us, our only option as far as communicating was phone calls, which were way too expensive for us, or actually writing hand letters and making audio tapes for each other. And for young lovers, that was a really, really beautiful way of communicating. It was really super heartfelt. We still have all of our love letters and the audio tapes, and there was just something that was really, really comforting in those days. Of course, times are different now, and that my husband and I still have times where we have to have our relationship be very long distance. We not so much anymore, even though I'm traveling right now, but before I changed over to doing this type of work, I was traveling a lot as a television producer, and my husband was too, and it was very tough on our relationship. We made it work, but I can see that this is a very challenging situation, and what we had to do was we found it wasn't helpful to make phone calls all the time, to call each other every day, because number one, would always be on different time zones. So while one person was awake and really happy, another person was, just waking up or maybe taking the kids to school, it just phone calls every single day didn't work. What seemed to help a lot were text messages, just kind of brief text messages like, good morning, I love you, regardless of where we were. And then maybe once a week, a kind of phone chat or a photo, but nothing really long. On this trip, what I've been doing with Dale, which has been really, really good, has been using FaceTime audio. And that just for some reason has worked out a lot nicer than calling each other on the phone. We have been sending each other some emails, but FaceTime audio has been wonderful for being overseas. It's worked even better than Skype for us. So there are so many different ways, but I also do like the idea of if you're in a long-distance relationship, of going back to the idea of trying some things a little bit old school, of writing a hand letter or making a tape. You could do exactly what I do with my podcast, is making a voice memo and send a big, long voice message. Like the way that I'm record my podcasts right now. That could be also a special way. I think the thing is, you just want to find what's the best practices for communication. I know with my kids, when they're overseas, I kind of like to try to stay out of their hair. I think of my daughter, who's first time really living in another country away from home. This is her time to grow and explore and to skin her knees if she needs to. I'm always there for her, but I don't expect her to be emailing me every day or to call me every day. We check in with each other on Facebook, on Facebook Messenger. I don't know why Facebook works for us, but it really does, briefly, and then maybe a Skype call, every 2 or 3 weeks, but it's just usually just a quick check-in, and it's mainly just a kind of a safety check. And I think that style of communications is like a best practice for us, because it makes me as a mother know that my kid is safe, and it lets her know that I'm there if she needs me. And I think what I also like about it is it's a way of building trust. It means that I'm not going to be up in her business trying to tell her what to do, or to, show her all the dangers of the big bad city all the time. It's just kind of like giving her the opportunity to see her, to let her know that I want to see her as an adult. And I think what I really also like about this long distance relationship with a child, an adult child, so you can use it as a bridge to creating a new relationship with your kid. So rather than always being the mom and acting like your kid is always really a young kind of kid, you can finally kind of start treating them like an adult. It can actually be a window into a new relationship. That's one thing that I have really found with my kids as they've gone overseas, is that you really can take the opportunity to not be so much of a mom anymore. Always there is that rock, of course, but to start developing, a mutual friendship with these young adults. I think it's super cool in that way. With family members, it is so funny. Like I was saying with my sisters, we don't have to. We just laughed because we're all so connected. I'm so connected to my niece and nephews. What can I say? We don't feel like we have to talk to each other all the time. We probably email, once a week, and it's brief. It's not like big old Christmas newsletters. It is just really brief. Because the thing is, too, I think most of us are finding that we have extreme email fatigue right now. A lot of us, especially that of those of us that are working, you just get bombarded with emails all the time, and it almost feels like you're getting put upon when you get long emails, or you don't want to put upon other people, especially family members, with long emails or expecting them to respond. We're all working people, so it's full on to get a lot of emails. So we just do kind of brief email exchanges back and forth. We try our best to keep it light and fun, and we just really have stayed connected that way. It's really, really amazing. I don't Skype much with my sisters. We might Facebook each other, but yeah, it's just really super, super brief. But again, it's being respectful of the other person's time, and also understanding that they might not have time to constantly be writing for you. So again, it's finding those things, and pictures, photos go a long way to keeping in touch, or just forwarding something funny, or talking about the latest news, or just finding that common thing that's a little break in the day. But those are amazing ways to keep connected, but just best practices so important. Another thing that I think is really helpful, and I was thinking of this because I had to say goodbye to Presley this morning in Chicago, and I was on the train, taking the train to O'Hare Airport, and my heart was kind of aching a bit because I just didn't want to say goodbye to her. Of course I had to, but I just felt like this, that kind of feeling. And I did this cool exercise, and I want to pass it on to you. And often when we get that terrible feeling, that terrible achy, painful feeling, we just feel that feeling. We try to avoid it, and we try to numb it out, or you just feel just terrible because you have this horrible feeling. But what I tried to do is I identified, first of all, where the pain was, where it was in my body, rather than just thinking that it was just this random pain thing. I just really went to the source, and I found that pain was really in my chest, like right below my throat, really super, super constricted. And that's what you just try to identify, okay, I got this pain, it's in my chest. What does it feel like? It feels tight. It feels really uncomfortable. So I did the most natural thing that you could possibly do to a constricted space. And that was, I took a deep breath right into that tight space. And do you know what? It cracked the pain code in like 2 seconds. It's amazing what happens when you actually identify where that pain is, how you can actually take it down some notches. And I actually think it's really important on a physiological sense to find ways to release pain. So if you cry, if you need to go to sleep, I do whatever you do to just release this pain rather than ignore it, rather than numb it out and try to fight it away. But that way of just breathing into it is so powerful. And it was funny too, because I was quite sad when I was saying goodbye to her, and I was looking out the window and stuff of the train, and just feeling that feeling. And then it almost serves, breathing into that pain almost served as a weird pattern interrupt. I noticed right away, as I breathed into the pain in my chest, I noticed right away that it dissipated. And then literally like 2 seconds later, my mind was on to something else. So it was like I had gone the hurdle of the pain. I'd felt it. I'd moved through it, on to the next thing. Now, I'm not saying that is going to, when you're in deep grief, or if you're really full on missing someone so bad, I'm not saying that that's going to solve the problem really super quick. But I guarantee you it is going to make the pain more bearable, less of a roadblock, something that you can more understand, and something that I think that you're also willing to address and recognize, versus feeling like, oh, I feel so shitty, I just feel terrible, whatever. But if you can say, okay, where's the pain? I feel it in my stomach. Okay, what do I need to do? Let me breathe into it. Let me drink, a nice soothing cup of tea. Let me go take a hot bath. Let me just feel, where is this feeling, and what can I do to release, even if it's a big, deep breath. It's almost like it signals to the body, mind, and soul that, I'm willing to take care of myself here. I'm willing to acknowledge that I'm having a metaphysical response to what's going on, rather than pushing it aside, and I'm going to just deal with it. And your body goes, thank you. Let's just go for it. Let me help you. And the third thing that I want to say is that when it comes to being far away from people, is that I think that the art of having a really great long-distance relationship, whether it's with a partner, whether it's with your family, whether it is with an adult child, is to have a combination of trust and a willingness to allow people to skin their knees, a willingness for people to find their own paths and find their own journey without having to be in their face. It's kind of like the old hippie line of if you love something, set it free, And I think that I really have felt that one strongly with, I'll give you an example. When Presley moved to Chicago, she was a total surfer chick, and she'd never been in falling snow. And I was really concerned about her being in Chicago and Windy City and, freezing below zero temperatures and all of that kind of stuff. None of us have the right clothes for those kind of conditions. And, I told her I was worried no, I didn't tell her I was worried. I really made a conscious effort to not use the worried word, but I told her, this is going to be different. We got to figure out what clothes you're going to wear. And then I just knew when to draw the line, because she is 21-year-old woman, and she would figure it out. Either she was going to be freezing and she'd get something warm, or she was going to be okay. And I also had to give her the benefit of having experience of learning something completely on her own without mommy holding her hand and helping her. And I really actually admire her. It's funny, she had the best winter. It didn't really affect her that much at all, I think, because she was having just such a fun experience in what she was doing. So I had to kind of keep reminding myself to not say that I'm worried about her, as I even had to say right now. I had to keep on reminding myself I'm not worried. I'm going to trust. She's a young woman. I'm going to trust that she knows how to make the right decisions. And that kind of things happen a lot of times through with family. When I hear that through the years, so many times I've heard, someone's been sick or something not great is happening. And I almost have to go into this higher place that I trust that everything is working out for its highest good. I am safe. I am well. I really love thinking along those lines. It is just I'm trusting that everything is going to work out for the higher purpose. Now, that might seem like airy-fairy hippie kind of logic, but what's the alternative when you're long distance? I could go into worry mode. I can go into panic stations. I can go into being negative and thinking that things are going to completely suck, work out terribly, or I can think, you know what? It's all going to be fine. No matter what happens, we're okay. We're safe. We're going to get through this. I choose that. I choose that option, and I find that has really helped. I think another thing to know with a long distance relationship is that it doesn't always feel great. This happens a lot, I think, especially when you have a relationship where partners are traveling a lot. There were times when that kind of relationship would suck for Dale and I. It's not the best. It's not the best circumstances, I think, for couples unless they really have an agreement about being far away from each other. It's not that supportive to what is my version of an ideal relationship. But even in the crappy times, I had to learn how to not over-dramatize situations and just kind of see them that a long distance relationship can kind of exaggerate certain problems. The distance can, both make the heart grow fonder, and it can also kind of just makes things a little bit distorted. So it's really important in the long distance relationship, especially when it comes to partners, is to just kind of know that it's a bit of a zone of funky. It's not the normal. It's not the normal, and having those times where it just feels off kilter or whatever is okay, because you have two people that are dealing kind of in a remote way from completely different situations. But again, when you have that trust and when you know that you're safe, that you're well, and then you also have that best practices of knowing how to communicate the best way to communicate. If you can kind of work on those things, I think that eases the challenge of the long distance relationship. One thing I do want to say is that having a lot of long distance relationships in my life has made my life fantastic. fantastic. If I would have been afraid to marry Dale because it was going to take me to the other side of the planet, if I would have listened to certain family members who didn't think it was a good idea at all that I was marrying someone from Australia, I can't even imagine what my life would have been like. This opened the door to me. Living in Australia opened the door to me to so many gazillions of things in my life that I wouldn't be the kind of person that I am. I wouldn't be sitting here right now. The path would have been so different for me. Having my kids live in different countries has meant that I've been able to see them and meet their friends, and it's like an extended family coming through. And I think that even through my family members, our adventure in Australia, living in another place, brings Australia to them, brings this faraway place to, it expands everybody's horizons. So I think that if you are having your first time experience long-distance relationship, especially if it's with a kid who's leaving the nest and going somewhere far, rather than thinking of all the negatives, I assure you that if you could do a little bit of a mental aikido with it, it's good, which is just blending, right? The art of blending and not resisting. You're going to find that this experience is going to open up doors to you that you could have never imagined, especially if you can get used to kind of working with pain a little bit, being willing to feel a little bit of discomfort, breathing into it. You'll move through it, and you grow, and you're able to fully embrace and get the most out of a long-distance relationship. All right. Well, look, on this California very dry day, beautiful, feels so good to be warm, I think I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to go back and hang with my sister and her kids. But I do want to thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you want to connect with me, go over to my website at thechangeguru.net and sign up for my newsletter. Every week or two, I just send out little stories, little ideas that will help you get through all the variety of changes that we go through after 40. Also come over to my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/thechangeguru.net. And also, if you like this podcast, I would really love it. You could do me a big favor by going over to iTunes and giving me an honest review. That helps me heaps, and it's an awesome way to support what I'm doing. All right, my friend, I'm sending you big love. I wish you really happy travels wherever you're going, wherever your kid's going. If you're far away from someone and you're hurting a little bit, just breathe into it right now. Breathe into it and think of how good life is having this new adventure in your life. All right, my friend, take care. I look forward to talking with you next time. And again, thank you so much for listening.